First of all, I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Then I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. After that, I would like to pay my humble obeisances to my Shiksha Guru, His Grace Vishwarup Prabhu and His Grace Shamakunda Prabhu. Then I would like to offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of His Grace Narsimha Nitai Prabhu and thank him for giving me the opportunity to glorify the Lord and His devotees. And last but not the least, I would like to offer my humble obeisances to all the devotees assembled here who took their precious time out of their busy schedule. So I request them to bless me so that I can justify the seva given to me. Vancha kalpatrubhascha kripa sindhu bhavacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. So once Prabhupada in his room conversation asked his devotees that which was the best shloka in Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada's disciple, one after another, they started giving the shloka numbers. Someone told Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamaikam Saranam Vraja. Another disciple told Yada Yada Hi Dharmasya Glanir Bhavati Bharata. One more disciple told, no, the first shloka of Bhagavad Gita, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Dharma Kshetre Kurukshetre. That way, different disciples told the different shlokas. For all this, Prabhupada said no, no, no. Then Prabhupada told, according to me, that is according to Prabhupada, the best shloka in the Bhagavad Gita is from chapter number 4, Transcendental Knowledge, verse number 9. That was in one of the room conversation Prabhupada told to his disciples. But actually speaking, all the 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita are very important. They are all diamonds. Because the situation under which the Bhagavad Gita was told to Arjuna by Krishna was not an ordinary situation. Bhagavad Gita was not told in the comfort of an AC room, sitting on the sofa, having a glass of juice and some snacks on the table. No, it was not that type. It was told on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in the middle of the two huge armies who were ready to kill each other. So my dear devotees, do you think that Krishna would tell something that is not important? Or Arjuna would ask something that is not important here? So what I mean to say is, all 700 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita are equally important. All are diamond in their own way. But still, Prabhupada told 4.9 is an important shloka. Why? Just to gauge the mood of his disciple, what the disciples are telling. So in different conversations or in different morning walks, Prabhupada has always told some other shloka which is more important. So Prabhupada tries to gauge the mood of the disciples by asking some questions. So shloka number 4.9. Janma karmacha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. I will repeat this shloka once again. Janma karmacha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah tyaktva deham punarjanma neti mameti so Arjuna. Janma divyam, the appearance and the activities of God is transcendental. One who understands this with complete philosophy, with complete faith, in the mood of surrender, then what will happen is Tyaktva deham punarjanma. He will not take birth in this material world again after leaving this body. So where he will go? Naiti mam eti, so Arjuna. He will come to me. He will come to my supreme abode. That is what Krishna says in this verse. So now we will read the translations and purport. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving this body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my transcendental abode, O Arjuna. Purport: the Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of Godhead is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from the material bondage is not at all easy. This is a very important line in this purport. I'll repeat this line. Such liberation of the living entity from the material bondage is not at all easy. We will discuss why it is not easy as and when we go forward. The impersonalist and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve, merging into impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, is only partial, and there is always the risk of returning to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and the activities of Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body and does not run the risk of returning to this material world. In the Brahma Samhita 5.33, it is stated that the Lord has many forms and incarnations. Advaitam achyutam anadim anantarupam. Although there are many transcendental forms of the Lord, they are still one and the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. One has to understand this fact with conviction, although it is incomprehensible to mundane scholars and empiric philosophers, as stated in the Vedas, Purusha Bodhini Upanishad, Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurukto Bhakta Vyapi Hridayantar Atma. The one Supreme Personality of Godhead is eternally engaged in many transcendental forms and relationships with his unalloyed devotees. This Vedic version is confirmed in this verse of the Gita personally by the Lord. He who accepts this truth on the strength of the authority of the Vedas and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who does not waste time in philosophical speculation, attains the highest perfectional stage of liberation. Simply by accepting this truth on faith, one can without doubt attain liberation. The Vedic version, Tat Tvam Asi, is actually applied in this case. Anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the Supreme, or who says unto the Lord, you are the same Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, is certainly liberated instantly. And consequently, his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. In other words, such a faithful devotee of the Lord attains perfection, and this is confirmed by the following Vedic assertion. Tam eva viditvati mrityameti nanya pantha vidyate ayanaya. One can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death simply by knowing the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and there is no other way to achieve this perfection. Shvetashvatar Upanishad 3.8. That there is no alternative means that anyone who does not understand Lord Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is surely in the mode of ignorance, and consequently he will not attain salvation simply, so to speak, by licking the outer surface of the bottle of honey, or by interpreting the Bhagavad Gita according to mundane scholarship. Such empiric philosophers may assume very important roles in the material world, but they are not necessarily eligible for liberation. Now here this point is also very important. Such puffed up mundane scholars have to wait for the causeless mercy of the devotees of the Lord. One should therefore cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge, and in this way attain perfection. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tashmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Tadatmi. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna to all of you. So in the purport, Prabhupada has told about verse number 6, where Krishna is telling why he appears in this material world in every millennium. According to the verse number 6 translation, where Krishna says, although I am unborn and my transcendental body does not deteriorate, and although I am the Lord of all the living entities in this world, but still by my potential, internal potency, internal energy, I appear in this material world in every millennium in my original transcendental form. This line is very important. Original transcendental form. Why, I will tell you. Now, for the common man, for an ordinary person, they think that Krishna is a very ordinary human being like us. But that is not so actually. Krishna remembers all his births. Krishna not only remembers his births, he remembers the birth of all the 84 lakh species in this world. He remembers their past, he remembers their present, and he knows their future also. Krishna. He is always youthful. Now, for a normal human being, if I ask the question to the devotees that what you were doing yesterday at the same time, then we will have to scratch our head. We'll have to pull our hairs and dredge our memory to recall that what we were doing yesterday at the same time. But that is not the case with Krishna. Krishna remembers everything and he can tell immediately everything, because he is the Supreme Lord. Similarly, he is always youthful. Have anyone seen the photograph of a Krishna with a stick and a white beard? No, that is not possible, because he is ever youthful. His body remains as a 16-year-old boy. It never gets old. In Brahma Samhita, the first shloka is wherein it has been told, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. It is clearly told by Brahma in Brahma Samhita that Ishvara Parama Krishna, Krishna is the Supreme Lord. He is above everyone. And how is he? Sat, Chit and Ananda. Sat means eternal, everlasting. Chit means full of knowledge. Now, full of knowledge means we can understand that he instructed Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra in the middle of two powerful armies within 48 minutes. That kind of knowledge he possesses, and we spend our life after life after life to understand that Bhagavad Gita, but still we are not completely understanding it. And that Bhagavad Gita was told by Krishna in just 48 minutes to Krishna, so we can understand the level of knowledge. That's why he is called as Sat and Chit. And third is Ananda, Satchidananda Vigraha. Anand means full of bliss. He always plays his flute and enjoys with Radharani. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda. Nobody is above him, superior to him. Anadir Adir Govinda. And what is he? Sarva Karana Karanam. He is cause of all the causes. Everything that happens in this material world or in the spiritual world, that is only by the will, by the supreme will of the Lord. As in Hindi we say, Bhagwan ki marzi ke bina patta bhi nahi hilta. We say that is a caption in Hindi. Without his will, even the leaf of a tree cannot shake. He now, as a living entity, we transmigrate into so many different bodies. This is not our first human body, human birth. We have taken millions and millions human birth before. And also in some other species, we have taken so many births. According to our karmas, we get the body. But Krishna, in every millennium, when he appears in the same original transcendental form. That's why I told that this line is very important. Krishna never changes his body. His body is Satchit Anand Vigraha, and with the same body, with the same transcendental form, he appears millennium after millennium. So this was instructed in Shloka number 6. But now the question appears, there has to be question that why does Krishna appear? We must have this question, right? So Krishna in Shloka number 7 and 8, he tells, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyudhanam dharmasya tadatmanam srujamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So what does Krishna tells by this shloka? That whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, or there is a predominance of irreligion, to save the sadhus, to protect the sadhus, to destroy the miscreants, and to re-establish the principles of religion, I appear millennium after millennium. This is what Krishna tells in these two slokas. But is this the actual real reason for Krishna to come? Again the question. To destroy the miscreants like Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, do you really think that Krishna needs to come down on this planet? No, not required. Sitting in his abode in Goloka Vrindavan, just sitting in his abode, he can give a heart attack or a brain stroke to this person and they can die. No need for him to come down. I remember one short incident of Marichi. When Marichi went to fight with Lord Rama the first time, Lord Rama just tapped him with his arrow of fur, and Marichi fell 800 miles away in the ocean, in the middle of the ocean, just by gentle tap of the arrow. So when the Lord, Supreme Lord, is so powerful, Millions and millions of universes emanate from the pores of his body. Millions and millions of universes. And with one inhalation, one breathe, when he inhales, these universes go inside his body. So do we really think that Krishna has to come down to kill these miscreants? Not at all required. Not at all required. Okay, then the question will be, maybe to re-establish the principles of religion, he appears. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. But even that is not required. One Prabhupada is enough. We can see what one Prabhupada has done in this world. One Prabhupada has spread the Krishna consciousness in entire world, in every town and village of this world. So really, Krishna has no need to come to re-establish the principles of religion. That can be easily taken care by Prabhupada, by his pure, unalloyed devotees. So then some may have the question or think, some may think that he will come to protect the sadhus. Not required. To protect the sadhus also, he can send some big warriors like Arjuna and protect the sadhus. What is the need for Krishna to come down all the way from his Goloka to this planet? Not required. So now the question is, what exactly is the reason for Krishna to come down in this material world? My dear devotees, the most important and the foremost reason for Krishna to come on this planet is to give pleasure to his devotees, nothing else. He comes down on this planet only and only to give pleasure to the devotees. There is no other reason. Absolutely no other reason. Why? Now, the birth of a Krishna, of the Supreme Lord, and the birth of a common human being like us is not the same. We must understand this. We must understand this very properly. The ordinary living entity takes birth by the union of his father and mother. When the father and mother unite, then biologically the living entity takes birth. And when he takes birth, when the living entity takes birth, he is smeared with stool, pus, urine and blood, etc. And he is in very abominable condition. But same cannot be said for Krishna. Krishna doesn't take birth biologically. So how does Krishna take birth? Krishna, by his own sweet will, by his own mercy, causeless mercy, he enters into the heart of Vasudeva. Here, in this case, we are talking about Vasudeva. Then from the heart of Vasudeva, he transfers himself into the heart of Devaki. As soon as he transfers into the heart of Devaki, the whole body of Devaki is illuminated with the effulgence. The light, the powerful effulgence emanates from her body. Not only from her body, but the whole prison cell where Devaki was put by Kamsa, that whole prison cell also gets illuminated. And then from the heart of the Devaki, he transfers himself into the womb of the Devaki. And then from the womb of the Devaki, he appears. Now here, in the living entity's case, the mother has to go so much labor pain to give birth to a child. But same is not the case for Krishna. As I told, the living entity is smeared with stool, blood, urine and pus when he's born. But how does Krishna appear? Krishna appears with kirit, with kundal, with pitambar, with Vajayanti mala, with anklets, with bracelets, with necklaces. He is born with all his opulences. He is not smeared with stool, urine and all. Why? Because his birth is very transcendental. His appearance is very transcendental. Now when the prison cell is fully illuminated with the effulgence. All the 33 crores Devi Devtas appear in that prison cell and start stuti, praising the Lord. All 33 crores Devi Devtas come to the prison cell. And when a living entity takes birth in this material world, even a dog doesn't come. Forget about the Devi Devtas. So this is the condition of a living entity. That's why we say that Krishna's birth is not like an ordinary human being. It's transcendental. So now, we again come back to the line which I told is very important. That the liberation of the living entity from the material bondage is not at all easy. Why? This line I told to mark, because very important line. To get the liberation from this material bondage, one has to understand the appearance and the activities performed by the Lord to be transcendental. So what is the problem to understand? Rabindranath Tagore once said in his books, it is very simple to be happy. It is very simple to be happy, but it is very difficult to be simple. What does that mean? To become happy in this material world is very simple. Just believe in Krishna, just surrender to Krishna and you will become happy. It's very simple. We have to become very humble. We have to become very simple. But it is very difficult to be simple. To become so humble, to have such kind of humility, to completely surrender, that is the most difficult part. Why it is difficult? Why it is not so simple? The main and the foremost reason is ego. We don't want to let go our ego. That E never goes. That's why it is called as ego. We think that we are the doers. We think that if I am, suppose in my family, I think if I am not there, then who will take care of my family? Who will feed them? That is the perception we carry in our life. But now tell me, dear devotees, a small ant, when something sweet thing, something like sugar or something, anything sweet falls down, within a couple of hours, we see the ants moving around those sugar cubes, small pieces of sugar cubes. So do we invite these ants? Come here is the sugar, go and eat. No, we don't invite. So who gives them the intelligence? Krishna gives them the intelligence that your food is there, go. And how much does the ant eat? Not even one small sugar cubes. It does not even eat one at a time. At the same time, we can see an elephant. It eats tons and tons of food. But have we seen any elephant wearing a tie, carrying a bag and going to office and for earning? No, we have not seen that. But still Krishna provides food for him also. But still, because of this ego that we are the doers, we think that we are taking care of our family, we are giving them the food, and tomorrow if I go, they will be on the road, they will not have the food. This is the problem. The main reason for this kind of thinking in this today's world is our education institution, our education system. Today's education institution produces donkeys and dogs, nothing more than that. They produce only donkeys and dogs. Why, I will tell you. As the donkey carry the load, today's human being carry the load of his family, of his friends, of his relatives, of his society, of his country. He carries the load on his shoulder. And to maintain this load, He runs like a dog to earn money. That's why today's education system is nothing more than producing donkeys and dogs. But Krishna, the Supreme Lord, by his own sweet will and by his own causeless mercy, descends in this material world and then performs his wonderful transcendental activities. Now, at the moment Krishna was born, appeared in the prison cell, he immediately instructed Vasudeva to take him to Gokul from Mathura. It was a very stormy, rainy, thundering, lightning night. But still Vasudeva carried him and took him to Gokul. Then he performed so many wonderful activities in Gokul Vrindavan. Like when he killed Putna, he was 6 days old. Then he killed so many asuras. Bakasur, Aghasur, Tranavat, Saktasur, Putna, Kamsa. He killed so many asuras, so many different pastimes he performed in Gokula. He lifted Govardhana on the little finger of his left hand. Today we find so many people telling they are the avatars of Krishna. We hear this. So many people telling themselves to be the avatar of Krishna. If we tell them, and they perform Ras Leela by telling themselves to be the avatar of Krishna. They perform Ras Leela with different women. But if we tell them to lift a Govardhan on the little finger of the left hand, then we will come to know what is he. Forget about Govardhan. I will not be able to lift up a book on the little finger for 7 days. Forget about 7 days, for 7 hours also he cannot lift. But still they themselves project that they are the avatar of Krishna. So, in Gokul and Vrindavan, Krishna performed so many beautiful transcendental pastimes. So now we saw the birth of Krishna and also all the pastimes that he does. He performed Ras Leela, he played with his friends, he was stealing the butter from the Gopi's house, and so many beautiful pastimes he performed in Gokul and Vrindavan. So why does he do this? For the pleasure of the devotees. That was my initial answer to the question that why does really Krishna come in this material world? So he performs his activities for the pleasure of the devotees. And what does the devotees do? Now, to go back home, back to Godhead, as I told, one more line in the purport was very important, that the pseudo-secularist or the philosopher must get the association of the pure devotees of the Lord. So now there is a shloka, Brahmanda Brahmite Kauno Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Kripa Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. So when any living entity, when he really has the desire to surrender to Krishna, then Krishna arranges the Guru in his life. We have been in this Brahmanda, in upper planets and in the lower Brahmanda Brahmite. We have made the Brahman of entire Brahmanda, in upper planets, in lower planet, as well as on this earth, in number of species, in number of times, in different kind of species, 84 lakh species we have been through. But in one human form of life, when we desire to completely surrender, now it is enough. Okay, now I want to surrender to Krishna. If we have this desire, sincere desire, then Krishna arranges one Guru in his life. And when one gets Guru in his life, then that Guru helps him to take the shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So that line, that all the philosophers, they may be very powerful in the material world, But to get out of this material world, they need the association of devotees. So what does the devotees do when we are in the association of a guru and when we are in the association of the devotees? What does we all together do? Majjit madgata prana bodhayantas parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. This is what the devotees do. And this is the only way out. This is the only thing one should do to get out of this material world. Mattajit madgata prana. Matchit. Always fix your mind on me, Krishna says in shloka number 10.9, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Matchit, always be fixed on me. Madgata prana, give your full life to me. Kathayantascha mam nityam, bodhayantas parasparam. They talk about my transcendental pastimes among each other. So what happens? Tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. They are always blissful. In discussing the pastimes of the Lord within each other, they are very blissful and they are very happy. My dear devotees, the Kali Yuga is full of, is the ocean of miseries. We can see difficulties, problems everywhere. Every person on this planet may have the problem. Some may have smaller, some may have bigger. But problems are always there in one's life. As Shukdev Goswami in the 12th chapter, 12th canto, 3rd chapter, shloka number 51, Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj, Kaler dosho nidhe rajan astya eko mahan guna. This material world in this Kali Yuga, this is full of miseries. This world, this Kali Yuga is full of quarrel and hypocrisy. But there is one silver lining in this. What is that silver lining? Kirtanat eva Krishnasya. If we chant the holy name of the Lord, then what will happen? Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. We can go out of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead. This is what Shukdev Goswami tells Parikshit Maharaj. Similarly, my dear devotees, we must understand one thing, that chanting the holy name of the Lord is the only way, only sure shot way, only confirmed way to get out of this material bondage. There is no other means. As in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 6.242, it says, Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Eva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyaiva, 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 Gatiranyatha. The chanting of holy name is the only and only way which will help us to get out of this material bondage. There is no other way, there is no other way, there is no other way. That is what Chaitanya Charitamrita says. So my dear friends, my dear devotees, we must be very much sincere. We must be very much sincere in our chanting of holy name, in surrendering to the Lord Krishna, because Krishna has given us the key. However big the lock is, the keys are very small, and Krishna has given us a very beautiful key. One who understands his appearance and the pastimes to be transcendental, one who understands this and understands it with full philosophy, with full conviction and with full faith, then that person, upon leaving this body, does not take birth again and enters into the kingdom of the Lord. He can be easily liberated. So this is what Prabhupada has done for us. This was the Prabhupada's mood in establishing ISKCON. Prabhupada's mood was what? To completely surrender to his Guru Maharaj and Krishna. That was Prabhupada's mood. Despite facing so many hardships and problems, at the old ripe age of 70, he traveled this globe 14 times. Why? To rescue the conditioned souls like me. Prabhupada was very happy chanting in Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan. He was very happy. He could have done that. He was the pure devotee of Lord, and he could have easily gone back to Godhead. He did not have to take so much pain. But Prabhupada's compassion, that was his mood. He was thinking about all the souls, conditioned souls in this material world. He wanted everyone to go back home, back to Godhead. He emphasized that satisfying the senses of Krishna will give you happiness. One should realize this thing. That is what Prabhupada's mood was. You should not indulge in sense gratification. By satisfying, because our senses are anyways not going to get satisfied. We are never satisfied. If we get a 2-bedroom flat, we want the 3-bedroom flat. If we have a small car, we want a bigger car. If we have this mobile, then we want iPhone. So our senses are never going to get satisfied. So Prabhupada, through his example, he set an example. Through his example, he showed us that in this material world you need to satisfy the senses of Krishna, and you cannot, if you indulge in satisfying your sense gratification, then you cannot go out of this material world. This was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. And then, with having such a mood, he started with a mission. With such a wonderful mood, he started with a mission. And what was the mission? Prabhupada's mission was to bring chanting of the holy name and the practice of bhakti yoga in every town and village of this world. That was his mission. He wanted that every and each soul must chant the holy name of the Lord and gradually practice bhakti yoga. That was his mission. That's why before he left the planet, before he went back to Goloka, Prabhupada constructed 108 temples of ISKCON so that the people can take advantage, can go to the temple, take the darshan of the deities, take the advantage and learn some shastras and enter into the practice of bhakti yoga and make their life successful. This was the mission of Prabhupada. He wanted to educate the humanity in general and make people educate and understand that this human form of life is given to understand our eternal relationship with the Lord. Not to enjoy like cats and dogs. No, that was not why this human form of life is. Prabhupada constructed ISKCON, started ISKCON in the year 1966 to share Bhagavad Gita as it is, without any kind of selfishness or without any kind of hidden agenda. No, he wanted to ensure, he wanted to make sure that I give the message of Bhagavad Gita exactly as Krishna had spoken it and as Krishna wanted to make Arjuna understand. That's why he shared Bhagavad Gita with the people of this world. So with this wonderful mood and mission of Prabhupada, my dear devotees, I request everyone to take advantage of this human form of life, to understand and realize that what our eternal relationship with Lord Krishna is. And consequently, we need to be sincere in our practice of bhakti yoga, in the chanting of our holy names, We must be in the association of the devotees. We must take the shelter of our Guru Maharaj and then make our life successful and go back and try to go back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna. This is what I wanted to say for today. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any questions or any comments or any suggestions, the floor is open. Hare Krishna.